So
Okay.
we're all set up now.
Oh, we'll get to it.
Yep. Late Happy New Year to the people of Republic Space, says Lemuria. Correct, correct. Oh. Does the entire galaxy use the same time system? No.
They use the same credit system, though.
Yeah, that's canon. Um, as usual, we'll give it a few minutes for people to show up. Sog and I were just talking about stuff, so Happy
Yeah.
New Year to the people of the free world space. Screw the Republic. I kind of stopped playing. Still have it though. I should get back sometime. You should. Big things coming at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the month.
A
Full
lot of
feature
codes.
save editor when? It's called Notepad++. This save file is plain text. It's human readable. It's very easy to edit. We don't really need a dedicated editor for it. You can just go in and make whatever changes you want.
See, Hector's with us. Still waiting on any other
It's
dibs.
probably supposed to say destroyer. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Um, have we found a Git exploit yet to secretly rotate the galaxy? I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. All right, well, we've given it a few minutes, so I guess we'll just start. I'm expecting it to be a light showing, but hey, we do it anyway. So hello, everyone who is here, and welcome to our 29th Campfire chat. We do these every month, first Saturday of every month, almost. And we've been doing them for more than 2 years now. Jeez. I do stream these on Twitch. Let me actually just pull that up. It is streaming, right? Oh, I had to refresh the page. Okay, yeah, it is streaming on Twitch. We're all set up. But yeah, so this is just a place for people to come and ask questions for anyone who is new here. We do have a submission box that is linked in the post where I pinged everyone. If you want to guarantee that your question will be read, otherwise you can just throw the question into the Discord chat and we'll probably see it and read it. Especially at the end after we get through all these submitted questions, we just do a lightning round with all the questions in Discord. But yeah, then we also usually do some updates here. Who all do we have dev-wise? Is it just you, Song?
Just you and me
Just you? All right, well.
for now.
Holding down the fort? All right.
I haven't been here in a while again, so I'd tell you.
Yeah.
I am coming back though. I wanted to look at some content PRs
Mm-hmm.
in the next like couple of weeks. I was going through the content label, and I think there's a lot of like small bugs or stuff like that I can look at.
Yeah, probably.
And
I'm planning on getting to Becca's stuff probably after this.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to review that and get that in for this update actually.
Mm-hmm. Let me actually go to the... Since we're talking about the next update, which, if you're unaware, will be the end of this month. Very end of this month on the 31st, because we do it the last Saturday of the month when we do updates. Let me just take a quick skim through the current set of changes we have, though, to see if there's anything interesting to highlight so far. Keeping in mind that there's actually a lot more that's in the works that is basically almost finished that hopefully we get in. Let's see, anything... This is one that some more code-oriented people were waiting for a long time. But we finally split the outfit and the weapon classes, which will hopefully let us do some fun things in the future with weapons. Right now, every outfit can only have a single weapon attached to it. So if you install, like, a turret, for example, it's just going to be one turret in one location. Theoretically speaking, now that we've split these classes, you could maybe have one outfit that installs two separate weapons. Maybe even on the same turret mount, probably. So you could have, like, one turret mount with two independently swiveling guns. Not that that's a thing
And
you can do yet. It's just, like, it's potentially what we could do with this change. So, I don't know, maybe get excited for that. I mean,
They look
what
kind of
else do we
funky.
have here? Just a bunch of new, like, mission capabilities, it looks like. Missions can mark and unmark other systems. NPCs can be given a personality that causes them to leave a mark on the map for whatever system they're located in. Some slight balancing changes reduce the cost of the high-velocity spike rack, if anyone's interested in that. Ooh. Rick Bartlett? Bartlett? Rick Bartlett? Anyway, that guy you fight towards the end of the Free World campaign, before you make the choice of which ending you get, he now has his own special ship. It used to be he
Oh,
just
yeah,
had a
yeah.
normal bastion, but now he has a special bastion. It has its own stats, its own sprite. It should be a bit more difficult of a fight, a bit more fitting of the impact that killing that guy has on the story. It's also a new ship for people to capture, so have fun with that.
And who knows, it might be part of pirate fleets in the coming future too.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
Oh, this is another fun one that content creators might like. So right now, if you have a conversation in a mission and you get to a list of choices, the player is able to select all of the choices you give them. You can hide some choices, but then the player doesn't even know they're there. There is now an intermediate status for a choice where it's visible, but you can't select it still. So this could be used kind of like I don't know, Fallout, Skyrim. Like I think it's like Fallout has those like speech checks or whatever, those stat checks. You can see that the stat check is there, you just can't select it. It's kind of similar to that, where you can see the option, you just can't select it. It doesn't tell you why you can't select it. I will make that note, but it does at least let content creators put stuff in place to show that. And maybe as a content creator, you could put in the choice, like at the very end in brackets, what it's supposed, like what's required to make that choice. We probably won't do that in vanilla, but it's there as a feature now.
That'd be good for repeat encounters where there's that option is like grayed out, and every time you come back, you want to see if you can do something with it.
Perhaps, yeah. Oh, this was a kind of a long-standing request. Let me just let me boot up the game so I can take a screenshot of this and post it in
Play the game.
play the game. Wow. Imagine.
I played it like 10
Different
minutes
system
ago.
to see it. All right, so let me just take a screenshot here. For the longest time, people have asked, oh, why don't we make something in the UI whenever you're looking at commodities to make it easier to spot the high value and the low value stuff? Well, we now have icons next to all of the commodities that show you how much they're worth. The one on the left is if you are just looking at the current system you're in, and it will use the same highlighting as the trade map, the trade commodities map. And the one on the right is if you select a different system, it's showing you the comparison between the system you're in and that system. And again, it uses the same color scheme, and the size of the arrows also dictates or represents the size of the difference between the costs. So if you, like on the right example, for the system I'm in, looking at Seoul, I can very easily spot what's the highest value, what's the lowest value, and then I could potentially trade back and forth between these two systems just looking at that. Kind person says, I like the right one. Will this be an alt setting? No, so these are both things you can see. It's just context dependent. The one on the left is when you're only looking at the current system you're in. The one on the right is the comparison between two different systems. So that was done by Zobes. And on the topic of stuff Zobes did, we have also overhauled the buttons in the shops. So you know right now, if you go to a shop, you have buy, sell, and leave, and that's it. Well, now we have a button for each thing you can do. Instead of everything being tied to hotkeys that you could always do, now there's actual buttons on screen that you can click on to make it way clearer, like, hey, you can do this stuff. So now you have buy and sell like you could before and leave, but also you can say, I want to install things directly on this ship, uninstall them into storage. I want to move something into cargo, move something into storage. Massive quality of life improvement with that.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting here like, oh, I wish there were 2 more buttons next to it.
Yeah. I will note that Nick Shanks made a reappearance. He's another contributor who has done some UI-based pull requests before, I believe. And he has an alternative that he's looking at. Oh, yep, he just posted. I did this a while ago, and he has a park button. I think that we probably could still add a park button to the shipyard, because let me also pull up the shipyard buttons.
That would be nice.
Just like how there was a feature to move stuff into storage, there was also like a slightly hidden feature to sell a ship but keep all of its outfits in storage. That is what the sell hull button now does. And I mean, there's plenty of space there. We could just add the park button as well. I don't know so much about splitting them left and right, like you have there, Nick. But definitely I would like a separate park button. I'd be interested in that. Let me see any other interesting things to talk about. The boarding panel now has a scroll bar if there's a bunch of outfits in the ship you're boarding. You could always scroll it. It just has a visible scroll bar now. You know, small UI, things like that.
Mouse support.
Governments can now have custom death messages based on individual atrocities that you commit against them.
Oh boy, more for the court.
Not very commonly used, but yeah. Logbooks can now have images in them.
That's a big one.
Yeah, so we're probably going to go through and add a few images in a few places, but yeah. Oh, missions can create timers. A timer that ticks down, and after the timer finishes, something happens. We have a lot of, not a lot of, but there's a handful of missions in the game where in order to pseudo create a timer, we would have a ship that would be invisible and kill itself when it got close to you. And when it killed itself, that would trigger something to happen. But now there's an actual like timer mechanic that we can say, oh, I want to wait 10 seconds. And then after 10 seconds elapses while you're inside this system, cause something to occur. Bryce asks real time ? No, it's in-game time. So if you use fast forward, it will fast forward the timer as well. It's based on the number of ticks that pass. But there's a few missions that have already been updated to use it. And you can also modify when the timer starts ticking. So it could be you have to be in a specific system, or it could be a specific set of systems, or you might need to be close to the system center. In-game frames, not 90 in-game days. Correct. If you wanted to do something after 90 days, you can already do that with an event. You could have the event and say, trigger this event after 90 days. Rack asks, does that mean that some timer missions previously would take forever if you flew away from spawn? Yes. Because the ship might not be able to catch up to you. And since it's an NPC, I don't know if we made them unconstrained. So if you got far enough out, it wouldn't go past the invisible system vents. But now, since it's like a proper timer thing, stuff like that won't be a problem. Although, like I said, we can also determine when timer ticks down. So it might be that in some cases you are required to be close to the system center still.
Eldarin says, I accidentally boarded the Sad Archie timer ship once. How'd you manage to disable that without killing?
Yeah, I don't even... No, actually, I think when it disables itself is when it triggers the action, not when it kills itself.
Oh, okay.
So that would leave it disabled, but I don't know how you would board it.
Interesting. Did those missions get refactored yet with the new timer mechanic?
Yes. The only one that still has a timer is there is a remnant mission that has you wait for an ion storm to happen, And the
Oh,
ion storm causes the timer ship to lose energy, and that's what allows it to kill itself. But the timer doesn't have a mechanic right now to say only count down when a hazard is happening. That's something I still need to add to it. So it's not fully fleshed out. There's still more to add to it, but the basic system is there. This is another UI-related one. Some of you may or may not hate this. We've added a new button to the planet panel when you're landed. If you see on the left side there, underneath the spaceport button that we all know and love, there's now a player info button that pulls up the player info screen. This you could already access by hitting the I key, but it is now an actual button on screen. Just another one of those cases of taking these hotkeys that people might not know about and moving them into places that are a lot more obvious. Kind person asks, what does player info do? Pull up the game right now and hit I. Because it's always been there. And this is exactly why we put a button on screen for it.
so when I first reloaded my game and saw that, I hated it at first.
Yeah, because you
But
click it instead of
over-
spaceport by accident when you're just trying to go to the spaceport.
Well, that and just the UI just kind of felt weird with there being a whole new button there over the graphic for the little technological bits.
Mm-hmm.
But I got used to it over time, and again, my OC is like, oh, now we need a button on the right side to do something in that slot.
Yeah,
right
there's no button between hire crew and depart.
Yeah.
It's always going to be empty.
Self-destruct.
I wonder if we should put the map there or something. Just something to keep it
Oh,
there.
we could, yeah.
Write that down, write that down.
Quick, someone get on that.
Yeah. What else? Some new conditions you can check. You can see what the government of the previous system you were in was. That was needed for something Benny's working on.
I saw that, yeah.
You now get... So, during the Free Worlds campaign, when you're just first starting off, before you actually join them, if you fail any of their missions or abort them, it won't tell you, like, hey, you just aborted a main campaign mission. Do you really want to do that? Now, it would only start giving you those warnings after you actually joined the Free Worlds. Now it does give you warnings the whole time. If you decline or fail any of their missions, it's like, hey, just a heads up. This is important. Another big one. So, if you've ever opened your save file and scroll close to the bottom, there is a section in your save file that has all of the event changes that have occurred in your pilot's universe. So, like, systems changing governments, fleets being updated, stuff like that. That's all stored in your save file. But it would store the actual individual changes instead of storing the event that caused those changes. Now it stores the event itself. It just says, here's the name of the event that was triggered by some mission somewhere. Just save that. Then, when you load the game up, it will go out and look for, okay, what's the definition of this event, so I can load those changes. The result of this is that the save file is now a lot smaller, because we don't need to save like hundreds of lines of changes. We can just save one line that says, here's the event you should be using. And this also means that if we change an event after it's already been triggered in your save file, once you reload your save file after updating to the new version, it will use the updated version of the event instead of the old version of the event, like it would right now. Which means that we don't have to create as many compatibility missions. If you've seen how some of the content creating stuff goes sometimes, if we update an event, but we want existing save files that already did that event to still have the new changes, we have to re-trigger the event, which just reduplicates all the changes in your save file. A bit of a mess, but should be a lot cleaner now. What else? What else? Since we're on the topic of UI stuff as well, if anybody has... So in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen when you're flying around, you have your escort icons. If you have an escort mission or job, then the ship you're escorting will show up down there as well. You can click on the icons for your escorts, and it will select them. You Could not do that for mission escorts, though. Even though their icon would show up, if you would click on it, nothing would happen. Now something actually happens. And also, if you have multiple ships that are condensed down into a single icon in that little display, then repeatedly clicking on that icon will rotate through the list to find the next ship in the list for you to actually select as the target for your flagship. Whereas before, it would just select the first one on the list and never move. We have somebody on Twitch here, Broken Tusk. Yo, what's up? I played Escape Velocity and EV Override and Nova a ton. This game is amazing. Thank you all. No problem. Thanks for playing the game.
I also played those a bunch too.
Will the Navy campaign be PR'd soon? Define soon.
Probably not. Well, it won't be this update, but
Yeah, yeah, no.
if that's what you're asking.
All right, getting into the changes from December here. Prospecting on the mining laser, that prospecting or mining efficiency stat has been reworked a little. It's now more effective on more valuable asteroids, whereas before it would be less effective on the more valuable asteroids. So it's even a better pick to choose now to grab a mining laser if you do decide to mine. So we just flipped it in terms of the curve. We're now doing some... we've got a fair few performance updates lined up for this release. One of them that's already been merged is a fix to some pathfinding code. If you've ever had a bunch of ships and some of them are lost somewhere else and they're trying to get to you, but they can't, you might notice the game really chugs. That is because every single frame, the ship was like, can I get to the flagship? Can I get to the flagship? Can I get to the flagship? And it could never get to the flagship. And those pathfinding calculations can be very expensive. So it would really slow things down if you had a bunch of ships stranded somewhere. Because also each individual ship was doing the same set of calculations. Now all of that is cached. So it should run way smoother if there is any sort of pathfinding calculation that needs to go on. I remember this pathfinding bug being talked about in mid-2024. It's been a thing forever. So, when MZ made the game, of course it ran well for the content he had, the amount of content he had, and for what he was expecting people to do with the game. But as we have expanded the content in the game, and people have tried to break things, some of the cracks have shown. And therefore, we now need to kind of go back and make some performance updates, kind of like this. Glares at Smoke Ring, says Warcore. Yeah, yeah. This is an example of one of those things where we're kind of breaking the game with the Smoke Ring. So we have some new missions from Iraqi that I won't say too much about because they're kind of Easter eggy type missions. I already showed off the new buttons in the UI. If anyone is familiar with the performance setting, where you can display the current CPU and GPU loads, that has been updated. It will now report the values in both milliseconds and a percentage for how overloaded each frame is. Once those percentages get over 100%, that means the game is running slower. And that will also account for it whether fast forward is on or not, whereas before it wouldn't. And we also now have the memory readout for the game. I believe it's default F3 will display that. It'll be up on the top of the screen, just like it was before. But if you like looking at numbers like that, then you can now display that. I will note, though, that it... yeah, Warp says it now gives you a misleading memory usage value. Yeah, it's not perfect. It doesn't... If you have if the game's running on a dedicated GPU, that will not be included in the memory calculation. It's not showing you VRAM, for example. But it is at least a marker of how well the game is running for you. Yeah, that's everything that's been merged so far. There's a lot more that could probably be merged, or is close to being merged, I would imagine. I won't get too in deep into that, though. That'll be the, play the update and you'll see everything that's in it. We've given you a sneak peek. Or just watch the game on GitHub. Did you just do a live changelog reading? Not the whole thing. I just went through some of the highlights. Because there weren't a lot of questions submitted, so I figured,
We can go through the few that are there and then just kind of
yeah.
do the rest live.
All right, first question. Can the Destroyer return one day? I don't know. Anything can happen. Someone would need to make modern assets for it, because the old one, I think, was made in Inkscape. And not even made in Blender.
I do believe... Doesn't Gefu have one for that?
Probably. Yeah, I think so. Is it the same exact type of ship, though, or is it bigger?
I think it was a little bit smaller than the Cruiser. I don't remember. How big was the old Destroyer?
I have no idea.
All right.
It existed for like half an update, like 10 years ago.
Well, maybe.
When will the game load Blender models instead of using PNGs? Probably never.
Yeah. PNGs is our look, I guess.
Yeah, the point of just loading in PNGs is that, well, for one, we can do post-processing on them. That doesn't need to be tied to Blender. And two, I guess the same exact thing. Since they're PNGs, it doesn't need to be tied to Blender. The idea is that you can use really whatever you want to create images. It doesn't need to be Blender necessarily. That just happens to be what we use to generate our images.
Mm-hmm. That and the game is a little bit more based on EV and override, so it's more based on like that top-down kind of PNG view. Whereas I know a lot of people who are looking at Blender loading images kind of want to get the game to a point where it can do three-dimensional models and perspectives, and that's not really what we're going for.
Yeah, like 3D lighting and
all
sorts of stuff. It's like, I don't know.
We're sticking with that little. As I saw a comment in the Discord earlier that we got like little kind of cartoon arcadey vibe. And that's kind of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Next question. Is the fact that the Heliarch leaders transfer their minds to new bodies for immortality still canon? It was never canon.
Where's Iraqi? He's going to get mad at the person who asked this. Like, that's never canon. Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be canon. Who knows? Maybe not.
Yeah. Next question. I'm not sure where this is coming from because it sounds a little contradictory. Are the Firstborn still an artificially created race by the Drac? Well, if the Drac existed before the Firstborn, then they aren't the Firstborn. So I guess the answer is no.
Mm.
You probably get this a lot, but who writes storylines or lore for this? Is there an event editor tool used for this for non-programmers? Nope. In terms of who writes storylines, I mean, anyone can. We have a lot of people who write stuff. In terms of something to write stuff, Orp says it's called Notepad, yeah. Like I said earlier, same with the save files. All of the game data is human-readable text. We have a wiki that outlines how you can actually write missions, and it's pretty straightforward. It doesn't actually take programming skills, really. It's just a matter of saying, like indenting things properly, really. If you're interested in figuring out how to do that type of stuff, just ask in content creating, and I'm sure anyone who's available will be willing to help you out. What's the URL for that syntax highlighter? I think it is in the development resources room. You would probably have to scroll for it. Let me see if I can find it.
Probably a bit out of date though. It's
Yeah, I found it. I'll forward it to the room.
some of the new mission mechanics.
Yeah, it's from 2020. Lemuria says just search Endless Sky in the VS Code extensions marketplace. Yeah, I'm sure there's multiple syntax highlighters out there. Warp says, I wonder how many people asking for an editor have seen the game data first. Like, if you've seen it and tried it and still feel you need some sort of editor, sure, but we'd need to know what about editing in a text editor is problematic for you in order to determine what an editor would need to do for you. But if you've never even looked at it, the answer is just any text editor. Yeah. Yeah, that is a question. Have you actually looked? Or are you just asking because you don't even know? Does he know?
I'm assuming something along the lines of shows what each node does would probably help people, or formatting of conditions, that kind of stuff. But we do have a wiki page on the web GitHub that goes into all those pretty in depth. So, but to avoid, Hector says a lot of people ask for an editor to avoid needing to code. So he thinks that a lot of times it's just a preconceived notion of what making missions in other game engines would be like, and applying that to ES. Yeah, a lot of people kind of look at the way that the text files look. It does look like it's kind of set like a bit of like a code. So I guess I can see why people have that kind of expectation, also coming from other games. But it really is just writing down stuff in a text file, controlled vocabulary.
Hey, yeah. All right, this question's kind of funny if you ask me. 800-ish open issues and 80 open pull requests seems like a lot to me. Is the bottleneck reviewing code? How can we speed that up? The number of open pull requests used to be double what it is now. So...
Same thing with the issues.
No, I think the issues did used to be higher, but we haven't reduced the number of open issues nearly as much as we've reduced the number of open pull requests.
I do remember Tom like went through and knocked down a good chunk of those earlier last year.
Hector says pretty normal for an open source project. Lots have way more than we do. Yeah, if you look around, I sometimes do look at some of the other repositories that are close to us in the game category in terms of stars. Oh, snap. We dropped into 41st place. It's so over. Compact UI, reduce the space taken up by games and programs on disk by using native Windows APIs, has replaced us for 40th place. Who even needs this? It's not even a game. It's in the game category, but it's not actually a game. It's like a framework for games. Anyway, one of the repositories that's kind of close to us in both age and size is Wesnoth. Wesnoth? I don't know how it's pronounced. Anyway, but if you go to them, 1.3 thousand issues and 96 open pull requests. So, if we have an issue, they have a bigger issue. But to answer the actual question in terms of what the bottleneck is, I think I wouldn't really try and... It depends on the time. So the development of the game is all volunteer work. It's basically a hobby project for everyone involved. No one's getting paid. No one's spending full time on this. So sometimes it's just a matter of there aren't people available to review things. And then also, even if people do review things, it can become a matter of, is the person who opened the pull request actually active enough to get to the changes that were requested when they were requested? So, for example, I've been going through a lot of pull requests and reviewing them recently. So there's a lot of stuff out there that's been reviewed, but it's waiting on the person who posted it. So that's what like the waiting on OP label is for. If something's been sitting around for like a week or two after having been reviewed and the person who opened the pull request still hasn't gotten to it yet, we usually add that label. And if you look right now, we have 16 pull requests that are waiting on OP, and another 22 pull requests that are marked as drafts, which is the person who posted it saying this isn't ready to be reviewed yet. So between those, we have 38 pull requests that either are waiting, just 38 pull requests that are waiting on the person who posted it. So if you knock that down from our current 90, because I guess something just got merged. I swear I saw that at 91 a split second ago. Then we actually only have 52 open pull requests that could potentially be bottlenecked in some way outside of stuff that we could, or by stuff that we could handle. Which isn't even that much, to be honest. At least in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah. Overall, though, it is just a matter of, do people's free time line up? Does the free time of the developers line up with the free time of the person who's posting the pull request? If it does, then stuff can be done very quickly. But if not, then there's going to be delays and things, just based on the fact that everyone's just doing this as a hobby project.
Remember, like a couple of years back, some people, I think I might have at one point said, "Oh, but what if we cut all active development, went through the backlog, and then started over again?" And I'm just kind of looking at the place where PRs are at right now and issues. It's kind of like we're steadily working around the same numbers. Like they've been around 80 or 90 as of late, compared to where they were like a year or two ago, where they were like 100, 140, 50.
Yeah, we got up to 160 something at one point.
Yeah. So we're kind of working at this like the same pace. We're keeping up and active with what's like going on right now. So I think there is just a bit of unfortunateness in that there's like that backlog, but
we actually peaked at 185 open pull requests.
Yeah.
So almost 200 before. And now we're down to 90. So
yeah.
It's an improvement. Warp says, this is because everyone who has an idea for something that could be done opens an issue, and we don't generally purge issues just for being old like a lot of other repositories do. Correct. There are a lot of repositories out there that say, oh, this issue or this pull request hasn't had any activity in a month, close it immediately. We don't do that. We want to keep things open until there's been discussion on them, and then merge them or resolve them or close them or what have you. But just because of, like I said, it all is a matter of when people are available. If we closed things just because they were old, we would have hardly anything open, just because, again, it's all about what time people actually have to put into things. And Hector says, having a lot of open pull requests is subsequently better than the alternative of having no open pull requests. Yeah, having open pull requests at least shows that there's activity there, because stuff is still constantly being merged. It's just that new stuff gets open to replace it. Kind Person asks, next scheduled update is mostly quality of life stuff, right? There's going to be some story content in there too, hopefully. I wouldn't say we planned on it being a quality of life update, but as what a fair amount of changes ended up being focused on. We don't actually theme our updates. It's just really just a matter of what people are working on at the time. And sometimes one person will start working on something and somebody else is like, oh, I want to work on something related to that. And then all of a sudden now we have all these quality of life and performance improvement pull requests open. Nick says, I posted that question at work. 6 is a lot of open pull requests and 0 is the number that we normally have. They get merged within an hour or two. Same. That is also the case at my job. But it is also the case that it's people's jobs to review stuff. I get pinged like, "Hey, I opened a pull request. Please review it and merge it if it looks good," and then I'll spend the time to review it. But then also, usually the pull requests at work are smaller than the pull requests we have here. There's a few pull requests opened here that are several thousand lines. That is not the case with the pull request I have to review at work. Sometimes you get one of those, but then that's when it becomes a group effort of everyone get together and review this, instead of just one person on their free time reviewing it. And also at work, we have people who are dedicated testers. So there is also an aspect of, with Endless Sky, the reviewers also have to test it, usually, if you're being a good reviewer. But at work, sometimes we'll kind of like give something a once-over and just YOLO it over the line and then let the testers take care of any potential bugs. Well, or will at least tell us about them, that is. So, yeah, different expectations because it's a completely different environment.
And I'm going through the 4 pages of PRs we have open. A good chunk of them have, like what Derpy was saying, waiting on OP on them. Another good chunk of them are actually draft PRs still. There's actually quite a bit of them. If we take both those out, I think it would go down to at least 2 pages.
Yeah. Yeah, Hector says professional development is just very different from volunteer development. This is correct. The other thing that's different, you guys are allowed to argue with us. At work, if somebody reviews my pull request who's my superior and says, you need to change this, I don't get to argue as much. Nick says, we have 0.5 testers at work. Unit/integration testers the way we stay reliable. In parentheses, she has 2 teams. Yeah, we have a few unit tests and integration tests for Endless Sky, but it doesn't actually... how do you integration test a new mission or a new storyline that somebody added? You can't. That has to be manually tested. So it's not the same as the software that is typically seen in professional development.
You could argue that we do have the reviewer team, which is technically our, quote, test team for the content stuff, but just like us, they're also doing stuff free time, not doing it full-time on week jobs. So.
And like a classic set of game developers, ultimately the players are the testers. That's why we have unstable and stable updates. Yeah. We have the unstable updates when we throw a bunch of stuff out there, and people tell us all the bugs, then we fix them in the stable updates. Nick says, until you reach 1.0, all players are testers. No, this never changes.
Live service.
Okay, next question that's been submitted. I heard ammo is restockable anywhere now. Why should Backwater Human Outfitters stock rare alien ammo? Why not? It's a game. Why does everyone accept the same credits? Why is there a bank on every planet?
Yeah, we decided to change a little bit how the game works, and for convenience sake, make it so that ammo can be restocked at any available outfitter. So it's not really... It was less of a lore change and more of a convenience change, just how credits aren't lore-based and they're more convenience-based. You can't really explain that. So.
Warp says, go read the pull request and issues about it. There's been plenty of discussion about it. To say what some of that discussion was, there's been a lot, or over the years, there's always been negative feedback about secondary weapons, and the major complaint has always been down to, I just don't feel like having to travel halfway across the galaxy to restock my weapons. Because, and there's some secondary weapons that I imagine that next to nobody has ever used, just because you can't buy the ammo for it. You have to plunder the ammo. And that can become a very difficult task depending on who you have to plunder to get some of this ammo. So the idea was basically like, treat it more like a first-person shooter, where it doesn't matter that my AK-47 and my M4A1 have two different calibers of bullet. They're both close enough. Just consider them as like you can rearm your M4A1 ammo off of your AK-47. You don't make ammo a rare commodity that you have to like search for, like, I don't know, Doom, where you're limited on how many BFG shots you get. Because the game just isn't like something like Doom, where it's all about, managing your ammo. It's not really the intent. The idea isn't necessarily that this backwater human outfitter just has a stock of Thunderhead missiles in the back that they don't tell anybody about until you show up with a Thunderhead launcher. The idea is more something along the lines of outfitters have the capability to manufacture ammunition. And if you have the weapon with you, then you also know how to manufacture the ammo for it. Therefore, you just have them manufacture it for you.
Hello, sir. Can I manufacture this alien nuclear weapon?
Yeah.
But I imagine, like you're saying with the first-person shooter bit, I imagine it like if you ever played COD back in the day, the scavenger perk, you just run over a dead body and pick up their ammo, and it just fits in your gun. So,
yeah. I will also note that this is actually a toggle. You can actually go into your game files and toggle it so that ammo can't be restocked everywhere if you don't like that. And I have a pull request open for this. Mm-hmm. Hopefully people review it. If they don't, I might just merge it myself anyway. To add a new panel, a new UI section to the game. When you are starting a new pilot, there will be a section you can go to edit the game rules for your pilot. Just like in Minecraft. When you start a new world, you can edit the game rules for that world. And if you set a particular game rule to say, I want to continue editing or I want to be able to still edit my game rules after I've created the pilot, then you can actually go in and still have access to that panel after the pilot has been made. You can also edit your existing save files if you want to make this panel available. So everything right now that is you have to go into the game files to edit, you can now edit it through the game. Or we'll be able to edit it through the game without too much knowledge. And everything, just like in the existing settings, has a tooltip for it. It'll explain to you what it is, what it changes, all that.
Yeah, and not only that, but that's going to bring in a capability that a lot of people have been wanting for a long time. And we were talking about this before we started the stream, and that was having default setups for the game. So we could have a default setup for like a hard mode, one for the game as it's meant to be played, one for, I don't know, things that can change, like if you can restock ammunition or not, or if you can, what was another thing? Like deprecation.
Yeah, we could
Like
use
that.
this to basically make difficulty levels. I don't know if we will necessarily do that, but that is definitely an option.
Possibility.
Yeah. And also these with the pull request I have, it will be possible for plugins to create new presets. So if you come up with a good preset that you think is like a nice preset to play with, or maybe it's like a intentionally difficult preset, then you can share that around in a plugin, and people can select that when they're starting a new save file.
You just bought your new ship on the Dirt Belt planet, and all the controls are really messed up.
Finish this QuickTime event. Fellow Starmadian, should I even read this? I'm going to read it. Can we get a petition to remove the distinct leftist bend from ES? We need something based in Red Pill like Warhammer 40k stand-in. You're just not looking hard enough. Endless Sky is a thinking man's game, I'll say that. Anyway. Sirius Blue Jewel says, personally, I would prefer that we have to carry a production factory on one of your ships that can make the secondary ammo. And the cost is just material cost for making the ammo. That's been discussed.
Yeah.
That might also be added as a feature of some sort. I will say, our intention is to eventually, once it's possible for you to in-game change the game rule settings, we want to make it so that the automatic restocking on any location is probably just off by default. Because part of the rationale there is just the fact that some of the story actually relies on ammo being scarce and not being able to be purchased anywhere. So if we do, like, in the default settings of the game, make it so it can be restocked anywhere, that kind of messes with the story. So we probably would add something like a ammo production factory, as a more in-universe way of being able to reasonably restock ammo.
Yeah. There was a few comments on that. I know when we were discussing which way we'd go with it. And the truth is that yes, the game primarily focuses on the logic of the story of it. So not necessarily like realism, but anything that has to do with the story that makes sense and to help that make sense is pretty important. And then after that would probably be like, arcadey fun gameplay mechanics. So
The word you're looking
that's
for
why
is immersion.
yes,
Realism
immersion.
versus immersion.
We love our immersion here. So yeah, I personally think we should also have that defaulted to off, but not before um we find ways to do that, as you said, with the outfits.
Mm-hmm.
Story, arcadey, realism. That's the order. Actually, realism should go back a little further out, other way. There's no aliens, unless. All right, well, that's the end of the submitted questions. So
No, there's
we're
one more.
now. Oh, is there
Just
one more?
popped
Hold
up.
on. I don't read that.
Okay, this question. Would there ever be a way to set your pilot sex/gender with the pilot setup you described, so that the syndicate can have lore-accurate sexism towards first last? Probably not.
We don't need to make the syndicate more of a bad guy than what they already seem like.
We probably could if we wanted to, but I don't know if I want to open that can of worms.
Yeah.
So it's not changing.
All right, now that's the end of the submitted questions. So now
Yeah.
we'll be looking at the ones you guys submit in the Campfire chat and or on the Twitch if someone's there. You go and think about going just another 5 minutes, or maybe like 15, 30. We usually do an hour and a half, right?
It's at least an hour, so we're approaching that.
Well, let's see where it
probably
goes.
wrap up a little soon, yeah.
Yeah.
Sirius Blue Jewel says, I do want to write a syndicate campaign with the idea that the Paradise have partially corrupted the syndicate in my storyline idea. I don't know about that direction. Navy campaign trash when? Rewind the stream. I made an I18N support version of the source code, and I'll pull request it after I tested the function is working or not. I have no idea what that means. Multi-language support. Big if true. Starmadian says, people have asked this before. I recall the answer being it's hard because there's a lot of text, but no one is stopping anyone from doing it in terms of translations. Well, part of the issue is that we just don't have the character set for certain languages. So we would need to first have a way to render non-ASCII characters. After that, we would need some way for missions to cleanly be overwritten with a translation. I kind of already have something for that, though. I have a pull request that lets plugins completely overwrite an existing mission. And I imagine it would be simplest if a translation would just rewrite each of the missions that are in the game. So you just copy-paste the mission over into your plugin, and then replace all the English text with whatever your translation is. You wouldn't touch some of the identifiers, though. You would just want to overwrite the text displayed to the player. After that, we would not have any translations in the main repository. I don't want it to be the case that anytime we add a new mission to the game, we also have to go in and make sure, like, hey, can somebody write the Spanish translation for this, or the Russian translation for this, or so on and so forth. So any sort of translation would just have to be a plugin. We also eventually want you to be able to install plugins directly from within the game. And kind of like how we have with the plugin forum here on the Discord server, you should be able to tag plugins and then look up plugins based on a tag. In all likelihood, you would then be able to look up based off of what's the language. If it's a translation plugin, then you could also be able to find all the translation plugins, and then, again, sort by the language you want. Ice Griffin says, I think I remember the game engine can't support some symbols and languages, but that was a while ago. Maybe something changed. No, nothing has changed. Zipper Ping Sog, where are dev meeting minutes? The last 2 meetings we had, he wasn't even in. So... There's really not a lot missing from the 2 that are there. I think one of them we had like 3 people show up. I wasn't even there. It was entirely in text. Nobody was even talking in the voice chat. The second one, oh goodness, I was there, but again, it was kind of like no one had anything to talk about, so we kind of went off into the weeds about random stuff. And then for the past 2 weeks, we haven't met, just because people were busy, I guess.
Yeah, it's the holidays too.
Starmadian says, just remembering the guiding document stated that Endless Sky is supposed to be written in American English, so other language ports can't be so far as to change which language is expected in the base game. I'm not sure what you mean by that. If it's a translation, then it necessarily needs to be a different language. Unless you're kind of backing up what I'm saying when I said the base game is still just going to be American English and any translation needs to be a plugin, because we're not going to be responsible for that. Hector says, I think if we were going to have translations, we'd probably have to do a localization file instead of just rewriting missions directly, so the translated forks won't end up with hundreds of merge conflicts every update. Here's the thing, though. How do we tell the translation file, this is what you should replace, this is what you shouldn't replace? A very easy way to... Also, there's a difference between translations and localizations. Sometimes. If you localize something, you're not only translating the word, sometimes you're fitting the meaning to better match either the language itself that you're translating to or the people who would be reading in that language. Like translating idioms, for example. It's hard to translate an idiom directly. Usually you just replace it with something similar in the target language or culture. I'll note that we have a few features in the base game that are not translation friendly. For example, the phrase generation, that just needs to be completely overwritten, because you can't just replace each word in the phrase generation, have it generate a sensible sentence in whatever your target language is. The grammar is just not going to match up the same way. Similarly, I know that, is it U13? I think it's 13, I forget the exact name, 0013 or something like that. He opened a pull request a long time ago to add UTF-8 support to the game. That pull request kind of went under, but he reappeared not too long ago on a pull request or an issue talking about text replacements after we added the text replacement feature. And he said, hey, this is not a translation-friendly thing. And my point was, like, I get that, but insofar as the game is targeting American English, we're going to set up conversations that make sense in American English. If there is a translation and the way things are set up don't work for that target language, then you just need to completely rewrite the conversation to make more sense with whatever the target language is. Maybe that means the target language doesn't have as many variations to it, like in phrases, but it's kind of the costs you have to pay for translating a game, is that not everything is going to one-to-one match with whatever the existing language is. Zobes responded to the performance indicator or performance numbers and said you want it horizontally spread out. It is in the interface file. You can actually edit how that is displayed without having to recompile the game. So if you want to make a plugin that changes that, you actually can. You can move where it's located. You can change how it's laid out. You can change the color of the background if you wanted. Anyway, where was I? Zipper says make the high start translate to high. Yeah, somebody construct a high language.
There's some missions in the game that talk about like old languages on Earth, right?
Yeah.
All right, I got a question actually because I was writing stuff for Gigno stuff, and I was curious what the take on this was. But when you go to a job board and there are jobs listed for you to do, I found out that if you can't land at the planet the job takes you to, you don't see the mission in the job board at all. So, how does that look in universe to the pilot? I don't want it to ignore clearance. I was trying to make a mission like appear in the mission log, but you don't have access to it yet. So the case I was making was, oh, you can do mining for the Gigno, but they don't want to board your ship for passengers stuff right now because they think that's awkward or something like that. But if you can't go to the planet, if the planet you can't land on it, you don't see the mission period in the job board. So now I'm wondering, is there jobs technically in the human job board that you can't see because you can't do them? Like, is the list in game not an exhaustive list?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's even without the whole issue of can you land on the destination planet. That's already the case with there's a few missions that like only start appearing if you have a big enough cargo bay or enough passenger space, or if you are have enough combat rating. So.
Yeah, that's right.
That is already the case.
I know there's some that are grayed out if you don't have some space.
Mm-hmm.
There's some passenger missions, like if you can't make it or if you're already have missions inside.
Yeah, but some literally won't offer unless you have a certain amount of overall cargo space to begin with, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's slightly different, but yeah. Okay. Although if you wanted to, I believe there's a condition you could use. Let me check.
Because that kind of when you were talking earlier about the choice option that you can see but not press, that's kind of what I'm thinking, except for like job appearing in the board.
Okay, so I think you could make the mission ignore clearance, but still require you to have clearance to accept the mission, using this. There is a condition you can use to check if you're allowed to land. And then, yeah, you could use the to accept. So it would appear but not be able to be accepted unless you have access to the destination. Although, dang it, you would have to name the exact planet.
That's what I was trying to do, as I had to accept and I had a
different condition if it's a randomized planet.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I
we
had a
should add
condition
that.
set, but it didn't even appear just because the planet was you couldn't land on it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was kind of just food for thought because, like Hector's saying here, I'm kind of trying to think what exactly is the job board. Is it like a kind of like a big display in a room somewhere, or is there like is it any of like the smaller terminals that you might be able to hook up to or something like that? Maybe there might be more than one job board. It's just whatever one you're closest to. Hector says, I assume that it was some massive database stored planet side, and your ship's computer just automatically filters to ones you can that are actually relevant to you. So yeah, maybe it's not even something you walk up to. Maybe it's something you're hooking up to inside your ship itself or in the spaceport, something. So I guess it could be whatever.
Zipper says this is a good time to bring up the fact that a lot of player conditions require you to specify a planet by name. Sometimes a system or planet attribute are accepted, but attributes aren't always enough. I mean, that would just have to be a separate condition. A lot of stuff is checking for specific names just because that was the use case that people were asking for at the time. So yeah. All right, well, should probably start wrapping up in a bit here because we have eclipsed the hour mark. And there was one more submitted question, but I'm not reading it. We're gonna start cutting off the joke questions here. You've had your fun for like a year. The last few of these we've done, like half of them are joke questions. We gotta cut you off. Wrapping up, I thought this started 7 minutes ago. It started an hour and 7 minutes ago.
I'm surprised we haven't had I haven't played in the sky since last year comment yet.
Oh no, I think somebody did that.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, like towards the start. Someone said, "Oh, I haven't played in a while or in some time," and I said, "Oh, you should play again then."
Oh, that's okay. I remember now.
Yeah.
I know you did just get here.
There is an event in the Discord server that you can subscribe to, so you'll get pinged, along with the fact that I always ping everyone. What's the new schedule then? I've had it on my calendar for 2 Central Time for ages. I think we were originally doing it at 2 Central, but 1 Central just works better now for most of us.
I don't remember if that was near daylight savings time changes again, because it was a little while ago that
happened, yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I know for the dev meetings we did that. Like, daylight saving shifted it, but we just kept holding it at the same time anyway. Like, assuming that daylight saving didn't actually shift the hour. And we're like, yeah, this actually kind of works better for us.
We bumped that up again too, because it worked better for people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Since you weren't at the start, though, we were highlighting some of your UI changes, and people were throwing fire emojis on them. And I was just highlighting how there's a fair amount of UI changes this update. A lot of them yours, which is very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, very good work.
Quality of life updates, yeah.
You know, meanwhile, some of my comments were, "How dare you leave an empty button space in some of the UI places?" But no, they look good.
Yeah. Insert
Yeah, write down that map button suggestion. Where is that?
in my head.
Let me scroll up here. Oh, yeah. Write that down. Write that down.
Yep. All right. Let's do rapid fire questions. All right.
Yep.
And then we'll wrap
4
it up
minutes.
here. Yeah, you
4
get a
minutes
few
of rapid
minutes
fire.
here. Throw whatever question. These ones can be jokes. Well, you might not get the answer you're looking for. Joke questions get joke answers. How about that? Let's go.
Did your campaign win?
Never.
That's not a joke, though.
Why did the chicken cross the road? To get to the other side, of course. Ask the chicken. When are we getting a chicken faction in the game? How about that? We get a chicken faction, and the first thing you can ask them is, why did you cross the road? The Wanderers? That's close. Yeah, that's close enough.
Yeah, there should be a Wanderer culture conversation
One
for that
Wanderer
joke.
that molts into a chicken. How does one pronounce this name? Wrong answers only. No. That's how I'd pronounce it. Why did the Wanderer cross the eye? Instead of the die option being shooting them, it's asking why they crossed the hyperlane. You get a 1 in 100 chance for that option to even show up in the first place. How about that? To display, random, 1 out of 100.
Need more karate kick dialogue.
Actually, I
in the
wonder,
game.
would that run the random check once? Would it keep running it? Every frame. Hopefully it doesn't. I remember seeing a while ago, this was discussed years ago, but I saw mixed opinions on it. Will there ever be an option in plugins to add turrets, guns, drones, hardpoints, etc. via an outfit or other specification outside of just variants? Here's the problem. How? How would a outfit specify where on the ship the new gun, turret, engine hardpoint, etc. should be placed? You can't just choose the middle of the ship because some ships are empty in the middle.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of code.
Every ship would need a list of places where it's like, hey, here's a legal location you can place an extra thing. But then that would be a set number of things you can add to every single ship.
Commenting on the balance side of things, but yeah, that's probably something we wouldn't do in vanilla.
I mean, he
'Cause
said
adding-
not. He was asking specifically for plugins.
I see. Well, that'd be more just how much effort do we want to put into something that's only going to be for plugins and not the vanilla game, and typically we only work for the vanilla game.
There's sometimes we do stuff for plugin purposes.
Sometimes, yeah, but this seems to be a case where it's something that would take a lot of code to do. Have the plug preserved the roulette? No. I'll answer that seriously. Or did you want a joke
That's
answer?
canon.
If you want a joke answer, it's they preserved the roulette next to the Shiragi.
They just have like a planet somewhere with like one of everyone.
Yeah.
They just keep them on ice.
No, it's like Halo. They have like those archives.
Yeah.
Where
yeah.
after they ignite all the Halo rings. You don't know it, but the core rings, they're actually Halo rings.
2 of everyone in the big ship, yeah. It's called Noah's Ark. I don't know who Noah is, but it's his ark. Lemuria asks, what release date are we targeting and looking forward to for the next update? Check the events in the server, I think. Did I put the event correctly there? I did. I usually, after we release a update, I put out an event for the next update. Also, if you go to GitHub and go to the milestones page, milestones usually have dates on them. Or well, the next release has a date on it. So if you have not checked either of those locations yet and you actually want to know the answer and you're too lazy to look, January 31st. Last Saturday of the month. Are the Korgs secretly Korth? No. Only
Yeah,
on
no,
Saturdays.
I was looking up the next
They all
leap
swap
year. I was hoping
places.
to be on a Saturday, but it's not.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
Which species is the most realistic? Humans. I'll be less available starting in 2 weeks. Get your flames in now. Yeah. Zove is going to be less available because the release will be coming out. We pause most big things before, like the week before the release anyway, so that's actually a fine timeline. I do want to review your control presets within the next 2 weeks then, because that is one I would very much like to have in the next update, just as a one final, like, hey, here's another massive quality of life improvement. Now the default keybinds are WASD, and there's a preset to flop over to the old arrow keys setup. How about a meal for McDonald's? 100 credits. Inflation is crazy. the whole your crew works one day for the cost of a single McDonald's meal. So says, I did not provide any new resets, but anybody could. Yeah, we're going to... I won't ask for a new preset in that pull request, but we're definitely going to add one for the release. Not it.
Not it.
I'll just put mine in, probably. Although I think I need to touch it up a little. There's a bunch of keys that are unbound that might probably be better off bound by default. Were Roulette inspired by Evangelion, by the way? I don't know, were they?
Huh? Where did that get asked?
Were the Relay inspired by Evangelion?
Oh, I see. No. Maybe.
Maybe. Consider strafing future enhancement. Maybe. Thoughts on a ship personality that fails the mission it is attached to if you're not in the same system as the ship. I have good thoughts on that. Has anyone pull requested ship folders yet? No. This comment is a potential improvement to the mission capabilities. It is impossible to implement a capture or return NPC mission. Once the ship is captured, the mission is complete. The NPC is a special ship model used to determine if you manage to get it back safely. We do have UUIDs on ships. We don't use them right now. The intention was, when we added UUIDs, was to be able to do stuff like that. So you could, instead of the UUID being randomized, you could set a UUID and then check, is this exact ship here? I think you can take ships from the player, and that can check in some way whether the ship is there. The ship is a special model used. You could put a special outfit or attribute on the model, and then you could check for that using a condition. So that's technically possible. No, you can't capture and return an NPC. There is a capture objective, I think. Do we have that? But we can't... I don't think we have a specific objective that says you return that specific NPC, but again, you could do the same thing where you put something special on that NPC that you check for using a condition. As for once the ship is captured, the mission is completed, I mean, you could have a conversation that appears once the ship is captured, and that could effectively complete the mission. It would just be then when you land anywhere, the mission is actually completed. You could kind of do something like that right now. You just wouldn't be setting the mission complete condition until you land somewhere. But the objective of the mission could be to capture the ship.
Is this not already doable with like flagship model? Ship model? What is it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You could potentially just use a condition to read the values.
You know what I'd like to do with that is, there's a mission I'm making that would check like a couple of civilian ship models, but I think it'd be cool if and I don't know how you do this, it's probably what you're talking about right now, is if you could figure out if a ship is from a given faction or government. So like if has a human ship or if has a like a government ship or something. But the only way you could do that right now is by listing every single human ship as if it's your flagship, and that's a lot of things to
Yeah.
put in one mission.
That's another thing. I want to be able to tag outfits and ships, and then we can read the tags and conditions. I had an old pull request for that. There was another older pull request for that. Both of them have been closed. But still something I want to do, though, eventually. I have a 16 pull request open right now. I'm not going to open another one, okay? We're getting close to the end of our release. I should stop opening stuff.
We went over 90 again. How dare you?
And 16 of them are mine, so if we didn't have mine, we'd be down to
We'd be at
74
70.
or something. But then when I merge my own pull request, people complain, you know?
Pick a struggle.
Yeah. Either I'm allowed to merge my own stuff and the pull request number goes down, or I'm not allowed to and it goes up. Fixed outfitter. Yeah, Warp took care of it. He was like, why don't you just fix it yourself? And I'm like, I'm doing other stuff right now. And then he said, what if I fix it? I'm like, okay, go ahead. Who are the people complaining about self-merges? Gonna be honest, I feel like the complaints about self-merges are kind of a meme. I had a graph somewhere I posted. I was like, guess what this is showing? And nobody guessed. I think one person guessed, and it wasn't. So let me copy the image and paste it here. Yeah. So I posted this chart a while ago in the core room, the inner circle, and I said, "Can anyone guess what this chart is showing?" Let's hear some guesses, and then we'll probably wrap up after this. Yeah, Nick, that right there is what I would probably use the tag system for. You could tag each of those ships as a Incipia ship, and then you would just need a single condition that says, does the flagship have this tag? SirDerpy got it. It was probably easier since we were just talking about it. But yes, that is the percentage of my pull requests that were merged by me. So there was a time when if I opened a pull request, there was a 60% chance I would be the one who merged it. The number is still over 50%. How close you are to a mental breakdown? Not too far off. Zobi says merging does not equal reviewing. I mean, yeah. The point. Nick says comparing with work again, the person who opens the pull request is expected to merge it after it's been approved. That's not how it happens at my place of work, but I can understand that making sense, yeah.
The whole merging your own PR thing for ES has mostly been kind of like an unspoken, like, don't merge your own thing and let someone else at least review it before you put it in. But I mean, it's not like you have to do it that way. Yeah. So
yeah,
I mean,
just says, well, presumably if you're merging something, you approve it. This is true.
Yeah.
I'm a developer. I approved this pull request. Therefore, I'm going to merge it.
Yeah. Obviously, it's good to get someone else's eyes on it, but it doesn't mean you can't if someone else already looked at it to help anyways.
Although, if you look at the number of all pull requests I've merged and which percentage of those are mine, it's way smaller. Let me see if I can find the number. Of all the pull requests I've merged, which is 1,875 of them, 8.5% of them are mine. So I still merge other people's pull requests a lot. Okay? And yet, 1,875. I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, all right? It's a lot of pull requests that I've had to go through. The next closest person? MZ. 721. He has not merged a single pull request in like 8 years. But I'm the only one who's eclipsed him. The next closest is Warp Core at 448, who has very recently eclipsed to Houch, who hasn't been around for years, at 446. Sounds like this MZ guy is slacking. What is happening to my Discord? I'm just going to screenshot that and... Siriday and Hector's messages were overlaid on top of each other for some reason. It fixed itself, but yeah.
I didn't see it. Oh. Huh.
All right, well, the lightning round technically started like 20 minutes ago, so.
I got some actual good questions to answer during it, though. So
Yeah. Probably wrap up here. Your branch about game rules, how about merging it without making it initially visible, only appearing if you edit your save game file? That can act as a gate for an initial phase of beta testing. I mean, that's already how it's set up. Existing save files won't have this panel available to them. You will have to go into your save file and change it to make the panel visible, unless you're saying don't even make it available on the start panel, in which case I don't see much of the use for that. I would say just have it available at the start panel. And granted, the game rules have always been there. It's just this is making them visible in-game. And editable in-game as well. So really the only thing that needs testing is the panel itself, not the game rules. Although I'm sure now that they're editable in-game, there's going to be somebody who's going to break something. Because there's probably going to be more people changing the game rules than ever before. Because it required a bit more knowledge to know where to look and how to change things before. And now it's just right there. You can probably change something to be game-breaking. All right, then. Let's just wrap this up.
yeah.
No more submitted questions. Seems pretty chill on Discord here. So thank you, everyone who showed up for today's Campfire Chat. A reminder that we do these the first Saturday of every month, generally speaking, at the same time that we started today, give or take a bit of time depending on availability. Sometimes we start a little earlier, sometimes a little later, but usually at the time we started today. The next Campfire Chat will be the 7th of February, a week after the 0.10.17 update. So looking forward to hearing what you guys think about the update next time. A reminder that there is the submission box, so you can submit questions, so that if you think of something and don't want to forget it, you can just put it in the submission box and we will answer it. And these are also streamed on Twitch at the same time that we do them. The replay will be on Twitch, and Hector will re-upload the replay to YouTube. If you didn't catch the whole thing, you will be able to see that replay. Thank you, Sog and Tom, for being here. Warp was here, wasn't he? He looked like he disappeared.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Hope everyone had a good Christmas, good New Year. And I was just looking forward to 2026, now that we've started the year.
Lots to come.
Yeah, big things in store for the game. Many more improvements to come. I've got another good year ahead of us, hopefully. Last year was probably like one of our best years for the game, just because of how much we got the pull request number down. Let me actually just pull it up. This will be the last fact, and we're not going to talk too much about this, but we'll wrap up after this.
Content will pick back up again, don't worry.
Yeah. We started the year at 130-ish, it looks like. I can't get the exact date here because I'm like mousing over this graph. 140-ish. In October of 2 years ago now, we were at 184. So in the span of 2 months, we dropped down by 40. We picked back up in March to 162 open pull requests. So we started at about 140, picked up to 162 early in the year, and And then for the last 3/4 of the year, we've gotten it down to the 90 where it's at now. And earlier last month, at the start of last month, we had it down to 74. So that's a lot of content and mechanics and bug fixes that have happened over the past year. Looking forward to seeing what the next year brings. Interested to see if we can get the pull request number down so we only have 2 pages worth of pull requests instead of 3. But we'll find out. Approve mine. Issue number also went down? Yeah. Let me see if I can pull that up. Because I have a separate spreadsheet for that. And then this will be the last thing. Okay, at the start of the year, we had 860. So we've dropped by almost 100 open issues rather. Now, granted, some of those were us closing things because we were like, actually, we don't want this. But a good chunk of those were things we actually resolved, and some of them we actually found out like, hey, this was resolved like 4 updates ago. That's kind of what happens when you have 800 open issues. Is some things get lost, people resolve them, and then nobody realizes, oh wait, this issue was resolved. But then sometimes, every so often, you'll find a gem like, oh hey, here's an issue that like we still need to resolve, and nobody has talked about it for a while, but we absolutely should do this. So that's why we keep everything open. It's bless this mess. It's an organized mess. Is there a way for us mere mortals to link issues to pull requests? Yes. Say resolves, and then the number. Or closes. It's like there's a page for them somewhere on GitHub. They're just called like closing words or closing keywords. If you use it, it'll automatically link it. But I found a closed issue that should be reopened. I saw that. I'll reopen it. I saw the notification, that is. Boom. It is worth discussion. Although, granted, there's a linked issue that's newer. Never mind, I'm closing it. Go to the newer linked issue. Exacerbates issue. That'd be funny. All right, okay, we're done. I've already done my outro. We're done. See everyone next time.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for coming.
Adios.